Israel has come under heavy criticism after the military demolished several homes and other structures in a Bedouin community in the occupied West Bank this week, as much of the world's attention was focused on the US election. A group of European diplomats visited the community in the northern Jordan Valley in a show of support for the Palestinian community against what an EU representative said was a violation of international law. European Union representative who led the delegation said it was very clear that the demolition of the structure is contrary to international law. Iraqi security forces opened fire during clashes with hundreds of protesters in the southern city of Basra, killing one demonstrator and wounding several others as tensions flared once again, hospital officials said. The clashes erupted after some of the protesters tried to set up tents in a public square, a week after similar previously erected protest tents in Basra and Baghdad had been removed. Dozens of young Iraqis were seen running away in panic after the shots were fired in Basra. The slain protester was identified as Umar al-Diabi, a 29-year-old unemployed Iraqi. A Palestinian ended a 103-day hunger strike against his detention without charge by Israel after being assured his 4-month detention would not be extended, the Palestinian Prisoners Club said. There was no immediate comment from Israeli authorities on whether they had offered any special assurances to Maher al-Akhras, who has been in an Israeli hospital suffering from heart pain and convulsions, according to his wife. Al-Akhras, a resident of the city of Jenin in the northern of Israeli-occupied West Bank, was taken into custody in July under an Israeli administrative detention order. The U.S. Treasury announced sanctions against Lebanon's former Energy and Foreign Affairs Minister Gibran Basil, saying he is behind corruption involving billions of dollars that has left the country's economy in shambles. Basil's designation was widely seen in Lebanon as part of a stepped-up U.S. campaign against the Iran-backed Hezbollah, which holds seats in Lebanon's parliament and government. After years of delays caused by red tape, cutbacks and opposition from religious and political factions, the first government-funded mosque in Athens since 1833 opened its doors to worshippers on Friday. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims from countries including Pakistan, Syria, Afghanistan and Bangladesh live in Athens, but the city has not had a formal mosque since it forced occupying Ottomans to leave nearly 200 years ago. Plans to build a mosque in Athens began in 1890, but it took decades for them to materialize due to opposition from a predominantly Christian Orthodox population and nationalists, sluggish bureaucracy, but most recently, a decade-long financial crisis. The custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, ordered that emergency aid be dispatched to victims of the recent earthquake that struck Turkey's Izmir region. The aid will be delivered through the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center. It will consist of medical, humanitarian and shelter aid. King Salman's move stems from his keenness on standing by the brotherly Turkish people and need to ease their suffering in wake of the massive losses of life and property from the earthquake, read a statement carried by the KS Relief. The GCC chambers underlined the importance of industrial integration among member states in the health, medical, agricultural and food industries, emphasizing the need to support investments with the aim to enhance the sustainability of Gulf food and health security. This came in a proposal submitted by the Federation of the Gulf Cooperation Council chambers to the GCC Ministers of Trade and Industry during a video conference on Thursday. In a statement, Chairman of the Saudi Chambers, Ajlan Al-Ajlan, said that the economic repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic and the protectionist measures taken by countries have shown the importance of supporting and encouraging economic activities and manufacturing industries in the medical and pharmaceutical sector in order to achieve self-sufficiency. The Moroccan Government Council held in Rabat has decided to extend the state of health emergency that was scheduled to expire Saturday as part of efforts aimed at curbing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Council adopted the draft decree extending the state of health emergency throughout the national territory from Saturday, November 10th at 6 p.m. to Thursday, December 10th at 6 p.m. The state of health emergency enables the government to make swift, necessary decisions to curb the spread of COVID-19. The sixth meeting of the GCC Health Ministers Committee has discussed a number of important issues, including efforts by the health sector to combat the coronavirus pandemic. The meeting reviewed the GCC Supreme Council's decisions on health, including the concluding statement, the Riyadh Declaration of the conclusion of the 40th Summit of the Council, and follow-up of the implementation of its decisions on health. It further discussed the committee's plan of action, the follow-up to the implementation of the International Health Regulations of the year 2005. More than 250,000 Danes went into lockdown in another region of the country, where a mutated variation of the coronavirus has infected minks being framed for their fur, leading to an order to kill millions of the animals. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said the move was meant to contain the virus, and it came 2 days after the government ordered the cull of all 15 million minks bred at Denmark's 1,139 mink farms. The coronavirus evolves constantly, and to date, there is no evidence that any of the mutations pose an increased danger to people, but Danish authorities were not taking any chances. Less than a year after sending hundreds of extra troops to the Sahel, France is hoping to cut back its military presence in the restive region to make room for a stronger European commitment, army sources said. Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian and Defense Minister Florence Parly visited Mali in quick succession in the last weeks to help the government assess the French presence in the Sahel, the sub-Saharan region where thousands of troops have been stationed since 2014 as part of the militants fighting Burkina Falls. French President Emmanuel Macron said during the summer that France would restructure Burkina Falls by the end of the year. The Bahraini High Criminal Court has sentenced 3 Iran-owned Future Bank officials charged with financial crimes and money laundering to 5 years in jail and to fines of 1 million Bahraini dinar each. The court also fined the Iranian Central Bank and other Iran-owned banks, including Future Bank, implicated in these schemes 1 million Bahraini dinar each, and ordered the confiscation of the funds that the banks wanted to transfer illegally. Turkey has not done enough policy tightening to support its lira, which tumbled to another record low, and the country's FX reserves and external financing remain potential weak spots. The Turkish Central Bank raised rates to 10.25% in September and could tighten again to head off the depreciation and address inflation stuck around 12%. Turkey is rated junk by the big 3 sovereign agencies. While Fitch's rating of BB negative is the highest, it revised the outlook to negative from stable in August, citing depleted FX reserves and weak monetary policy credibility.